Hi, everybody. I think we are live here. I'm hoping that this microphone works. Okay, I think we're in. So I think we're live on Facebook and I think we're live on Instagram. Hi to everybody here. So I'm back on again because I want to encourage everybody again to be a part of this movement, Letters That Move the World, Intentional Acts of Gratitude. This is a absolute passion project and a mission, and I feel like now is the time. The more that we can get people to be a part of this movement. And if you're not too familiar with it, check out my last post that I did. Go to lettersthatmovetheworld.com and you will learn all about it. It's very straightforward, but the gist of this is writing letters to the heroes in our lives and then sending them out at a designated time between December 21st, January 7th, and sharing that gift of gratitude that we fill ourselves up and then sharing it with others. And let's see if we can create a shift in the global consciousness. And so I wanted to make two announcements today. Is first, I am doing a global synchronized meditation on December 21st with Lance Shuttler and Michael Jaco. And we are going to be basically, there's going to be a lot of different meditations going on December 21st because it is a really important time, sort of astrologically. It's a big light point. And a lot of people are wanting to kind of piggyback up off of the energy that's going on with that so that we can really um, create some more shift in the world. And so the meditation is going to be on December 21st. I believe it's at 10:22. I'll put all the details in the link below or in the comments. And it is basically going to be a silent meditation where we're going to generate feelings of love and gratitude and just send that out to the world, along with probably millions of other people around the world doing something similar. And so what I'm hoping to do is that we can start it off with a guided meditation that I will do, bringing people to a deep state of appreciation for themselves and for others. And then we're going to just marinate in that feeling and send that out to everybody for a certain period of time in silent meditation. It's going to be really beautiful. And if you've never done a synchronized global meditation before, it's really powerful. There's something really special when we connect with other like minded people, sharing their hearts in the same way. And my wife and I have done global meditations many times and synchronized meditations many times. And if you're familiar with the work with people like Greg Braden and Bruce Lipton and Lynn McTaggart from the field, I mean, she's done some amazing work showing the power that synchronized intent and meditative states can do when we all pool our energies together. So we want to create some of that. So I'll put the links on that and you can go to the page and then like it and commit to joining us and it's going to be amazing. That's going to be I believe 10:22 Pacific Standard Time, but I will put the links in there for sure. Okay. The other thing is heroes. So if you've read the book or you've listened to some of the videos that we've done, we talk about heroes. And hero is an acronym, and that's why we spell it with capital letters. So hero stands for how experiences reflect upon others. So the idea is that we often think of heroes as being these larger than life characters, wearing spandex and superhero capes, and all of that can be cool. But the thing is that every single person can be a hero just in the way that they live their life, just in how they live through the experiences that they have in their life. And so when I initially was moved by this process, I was actually in my second year of naturopathic medicine. And I was just sitting there thinking, like, how did I get to be where I am right now? How did I end up in this place that was like really kind of a dream for me to kind of get to there? And it just started making me reflect on all the different experiences I had, all the different people that I had interacted with that shaped and formed my life in different ways and influenced me. And it got to the point where I was just thinking of all of these different people, and two people really came to mind as far as having such a major shift. It wasn't that lots of these other people did too, but there's just two people, two big heroes that jumped out of my life. And the first one was my karate instructor, my sensei, and I had joined karate early on when I was about 12. And it was a pretty major part of my life up until probably about 10 years ago. And I it was my instructor had just I think he had seen in me a certain potential that helped it reflect back into my eyes to sort of awaken me to my own inner potential. And outside of that, he was the glue that held this amazing family together that influenced my life so much. So it was my karate instructor that influenced my life, but it was also all of the people that I had interacted with just shaped me in so many different ways and influenced me and got me interested in things like massage therapy, which then that opened the door to learning about osteopathy and naturopathic medicine and just one thing after another. It just, I couldn't have imagined being where I was without that influence. And then the second person that really touched the core of who I was and really brought up that deep sense of appreciation where you're welled up in tears was my grandma. And my grandma had been this person that had just lived through so many tragedies and still managed to just always have this positive, never lost her lovingness for people and her kindness for the world. And she was such a gift to me because I feel like she was really a representation of what unconditional love can be like. And my grandma first, I mean, she was engaged and lost her first husband in the World War II, right after he had got shipped off, and then she got a letter that he had died. And the day after that, she basically ended up with MS, so it triggered a major health issue for her. And then she got post-polio syndrome. Then she got remarried to who was my grandpa, and then my grandpa passed away from brain cancer shortly after I was born. And then my grandma had eventually met with a close friend of hers, and they ended up becoming partners for a long time. And he was kind of like my grandpa that I sort of knew. And then he had passed away from lymphoma. My grandma also had osteoporosis and osteoarthritis, and she ended up with lymphoma. She had so many things, and she kind of went from a cane that I always remember to a walker and eventually to a wheelchair. And never once did I ever see her spirit um, dwindle. And so it just resonated with me so much that you can go through so many tragedies and so much hardship and still always see the brighter side of things and never lose that compassion or that kindness. I mean, she was the first person to get up and give a stranger a hug that you'd bring over and introduce them to you and tell you that she loved you, even if it was the first day that she had met you. So it brought so much joy to my heart just to think about her and how much she had influenced my life. And so I sat there and I was so overwhelmed with this feeling that I actually sat down. I couldn't just hold it inside. I needed to share it. And so I wrote these letters to my karate instructor and to my grandma. And that was literally about 20 years ago that I did that process. And so from that time, then fast forward about 10 years. So then I'm done. I'm practicing as a naturopathic doctor, and I end up meeting this person, Corey Ashley, who's the co-author of our book, and we were chatting about this experience. It just came up, and I was telling her about my experience of doing this, and she had had a very similar experience with her mom, writing her mother a letter of gratitude, who was this hero in her life because she had reflected her experiences on Corey that influenced her so much. And what was really fascinating is that hadn't written a letter like that to her mom, and she did, and the year after that she had passed away. So she actually got to share that gift with her before she had passed away. So then fast forward a little bit from then. So Corey and I sat there and we were like, man, can you imagine? Because it was the feeling that came up in us was what the real gift was. It was like I remember what it felt like when I was so filled up with this feeling of gratitude. It was just overwhelming to the point that I needed to share it, right? And so to me, it was the feeling was when I was talking to Corey, it was like, holy cow, can you imagine if everybody got to feel that, right? What the world would be like. And then we literally paused for a second, thought, holy cow, could you imagine if everybody felt that at the same time? Like, what could happen? What would the potential be? What could happen if we could drop this massive ripple in the global consciousness and just see what could happen? And it just got us tingles all over thinking about this. So then we thought, well, let's figure out how to do it. So we decided to write this book, Letters That Move the World, Intentional Acts of Gratitude, to try and create this movement. Now, I want to share this part with you because this is really important, and this is where you cannot fathom the gift. You cannot fathom the degree that sharing a gift from your heart can actually make on other people. So when we had finished the first draft of the book, I actually went back to Vancouver at the time to visit my grandma, who at the time was living in a retirement center near my sister. And I went over and spent a few nights with her, and I brought the manuscript. And I sat down with her and I said, Grandma, do you remember when I sent you that letter 10 years ago? Well, this is what it influenced, right? And she just looked at me and she smiled because I wanted to read the book to her. And she just looked at me and smiled, and she got up and she walked over to her dresser drawer and she opened the drawer and she pulled out the letter that I had sent her 10 years ago. And she just said, Jason, I read this letter every night before I go to bed. I read this letter every night before I go to bed, and it still brings me to tears of joy. And when she said that to me, she also pulled out a couple of other letters and cards that she had had from other members of my family for birthdays or for different things that were very meaningful for her. And I was just like, holy shit. Like, you, it took me a moment to sit down and share how much she meant to me. And then what happened is then I actually got to be a hero for my hero. When do you ever get that kind of juice out of something where you can share a gift from your heart and that it actually influences somebody every day for 10 years of their life? To me, it was sort of like, why would we not do that? And the only reason we don't usually do that is because we get caught up and busy in our own lives. And I get that. I mean, I got a busy life too. And part of this is, how do we prioritize things that really mean so much? And so this was a really, really transitional point in my life when my grandma brought that letter back out and showed me. It was just like, holy cow, like we need to all do this. People need to have reminders that they matter. They need to have reminders of just how much their life is meant on other people, how much of a hero they are just solely through the way that they live their life, and how much it impacts someone. And all it took was me sitting down to write a letter and sharing that. So I want everybody to think about that for a little bit. I want you to start making your list. Think about these people in your life that have been heroes in your life, how they've influenced you. Take a moment of quiet time to just contemplate on it. Life sometimes is unpredictable. Sometimes life is short. It's like these are important things. And at the end of the day, when we sit down and think about our life, these are the kind of things that are going to fill us up and be the most meaningful. And if we can do this together, think about the impact of what we could do on the world. All right, everyone. I'm sending out lots of love to everybody. Don't know if you've seen this shirt, but this is one of my favorite shirts. It's Andre the Giant. I'm a really big deal. It's okay. You can own that. We're all big deals. And we're actually really big deals. And if all of us big deals come together, think of what kind of a ripple we can make. All right, everybody. Love you, and I'll talk to you soon.